Lovely to see, lovely to see your faces. Welcome everyone as you're coming in. Love you to type into the chat where you are in the world as we share this conversation of carnosine. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is our weekly Carnosine education session. So, same time every week, we are going to have some amazing experts to come and share the magic of carnosine. My name is Grace Thorne. I'm a mum of five, and I am really interested in longevity, energy, and feeling good so I can take care of my tribe. And I'm really happy to have found carnosine because it's helping me in so many ways. So you're going to hear more about that on this call from some amazing experts that we've got. You may have seen the flyer. That is Dr. Willie Villarreal. Sorry. On the back of his t-shirt, it says "Got Carnosine." So today we're going to find out a little bit about what carnosine is, and we're going to hear from a very special guest, human optimization expert, Chris Tarver. We're also going to hear from our community because this product, although it has been helping sports performance in a really big way, it is now helping everybody. Carnosine is for everybody, doesn't matter your age at all. So, Dr. Villarreal, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. How are you?
I'm very
Great.
well. I'm very well. I'm excited. We've got a lot of people on here that want to know more about this miracle molecule that is carnosine. So, on the back of your shirt there, got carnosine. What is it? Could you kind of dumb it down for me a little bit?
Yeah.
And
So
just
last week
explain
was
what
more
it
of the
is.
sciency, and this week I want to just kind of make sure that it's easy to understand so people can share it, right? So basically, carnosine is just a natural dipeptide. It's just two amino acids linked together. It's beta alanine and histidine, and basically the way you can remember it is it acts like a cellular firefighter. Okay, it puts out oxidative fires, keeps the brain sharp, your skin smooth, muscles from screaming at you, during a workout. That's what most people know carnosine as. Carnosine it basically buffers your muscles pH, and it keeps lactic acid, which is what causes the burn, from turning your legs into concrete, during workouts and feeling heavy. The higher your carnosine, the longer and harder you can go before you gas out, basically from a performance standpoint. Carnosine is what your body used to have a lot of when you were 18. It's a natural molecule that keeps your cells young, your brain quick, your recovery sharp. But after 20, our levels start to drop pretty fast. So topping it off is kind of like turning back your biological clock. Uh, One of the single best ways I use to describe a carnosine to patients is it's just a simple molecule your muscles and brain used to stay sharp, young, and fast.
Mm.
It's basically your body's built-in aging, anti-aging, anti-fatigue, multitasker, but it starts to disappear after your 20s, which is most of it, why a lot of us could use a refill. Basically, that's also where Lactigo comes in. Is that Lactigo is a very first unique. It's a topical breakthrough, and it's a topical transdermal performance recovery gel, but it's doing a lot more than just in the performance standpoint. And the easiest thing, I tell people is it's carnosine is now, or Lactigo is where like science meets speed, because we know what carnosine does medically, physically, but it's how fast we're seeing it work.
Mm.
And so that's what has a lot of us as practitioners, people that know, and if they don't know, they're gonna know, has us excited is the speed at which we're seeing it. And I even recently had a doctor that attended our most recent launch, and he gave me I highly value his input, and he sent me the next day on a Sunday his 4 points of feedback, and his number one point of feedback was, hey, you need to be really careful about telling everybody about this magical gel and how you keep referring to it and how quickly it works, and people are going to start thinking that it's too good to be true and things like that. And I said, granted, I said I agree. I said, but I'm just reporting what we're seeing. So that was Sunday, right? Monday morning, he texts me and he says, full disclosure, what I didn't tell you was Saturday at the meeting 2 weeks ago, he said, I hurt my knee really bad lifting furniture in the house. And he's 74. He's been in practice like 40 years. Great, great guy. But he said, I haven't been able to lift or exercise or anything in 2 weeks. He goes, so I gave him a bottle at the conference. And he said, in the parking lot, I put it on my knee. And he said, on the way home, by the time I got home 15 minutes later, it felt a little bit better. He said, not completely gone. He put it on that night, woke up in the morning Sunday with no pain. And so he said, well, let me try it again. So he put it on more throughout the day. And it just kept getting better and better. So he was texting me Monday morning saying, hey, just to let you know, I'm at the gym working out, I'm doing squats, and my knee, he goes, I'm a believer, and I take back what I said about it, working so quickly. So it's just what we're seeing. It's just what we're seeing. It works very, very, very quickly. So
Hmm.
I'm sorry if you hear like a lot of like banging or something behind me. We're a big storm just blew in, and I'm outside in our like barn. So I'll hear a
That's
lot of
fine.
that.
We can hear everything. So you've been having huge success with your clients in Houston. I just wanted to say that the contents of this Zoom is for educational, informational purposes only. So it doesn't constitute professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, but these are real people sharing real stories. And yeah, just in general in your clinic, what kind of results have you been seeing? And then we're going to hear from Paula in our community with some general well-being that she's been feeling.
Gotcha. Yeah, as any practitioner, we approach everything kind of not skeptical. I'm a little bit more open than most, but you still have to be really careful on what you're using with patients, right? So I always look at everything with a risk benefit ratio. And so this is, high, high benefit, very low to no risk. There are no, side effects. There are no contraindications. So I was using it sparingly, okay, initially just with like my athletes and maybe people that had like joint issues, and it was working in all of them, right? But I started to kind of venture out a little bit, and Bill was one of our miracle stories, Bill Starkey, who now is like, one of our leaders of our company.
He's just
Uh,
jumped on the call.
yeah, his
Yeah.
and if you haven't heard his story, you will hear his story. I don't want to tell it for him, but he was a huge turning point. So after Bill, I was like, every patient, I'm going to use it on every patient. And since that's taken off, it's just been uh people with neuropathies and people, I do a lot of metabolic disorders. So a lot of people with diabetes, type 2 diabetes, a lot of data on carnosine, and helping with diabetics, pre-diabetics, people with metabolic syndrome. But the neuropathies, the um, kind of any kind of nerve injuries, any kind of just pain. Recently, I'll say this for a little bit later, but I had a young girl with psoriatic rheumatoid arthritis, and the only option that they gave her was, give her an naproxen. Uh, and her dad, who's a patient of mine, came to see me. Is there anything we could do? Could you help her? And so I just gave him some of the gel. And for the first time, long term, naproxen for a 12-year-old is not a great, option. Um, Within 1 to 2 days of using it, like all the pain that she's also this young cheerleader trying to, be active and just having pain all the time. Now he said she's had no pain in the last 2 weeks ever since she started using it. But it's just story after story after story, from patients with MS to patients with just, I mean, overall brain fog, to like we heard people saying earlier with sleep, just overall feelings of well-being.
Hmm.
Restless legs, that's a huge one because there's really no cure, or specifically there's so many variable factors that cause restless legs. You can fix a lot of the causes, and then one of the only things, as a practitioner you're left with is like giving gabapentin, and that's not great. And so now instead of gabapentin we can use carnosine, and it's relieving the restless legs with no side effects. So
Wow.
yeah, I mean, it's hard to pinpoint one specific condition because now I'm
Oh.
using it for all of them,
Hmm.
uh, especially any kind of arthritis or any itises
Mm.
helps
Yeah.
with it.
Okay.
So,
Thank you so much for sharing
mhm.
your what's happening in your practice. Paula, would you be able to take yourself off mute and share your story, please?
Sure. I'm from Toronto. Go Jays go. We're just outside of Toronto. I'm 68 years old. I
Woo!
ride a motorcycle. I own Healthy Meats. I've owned my own business for 23 years, so I'm very invested in health, generally speaking. I'm a breast cancer survivor for 20 odd years. So I follow health pretty closely. And my friend Andy Mills, we talk about a lot of things. One of them is health. And thank goodness he said to me, like, oh my God, you got to check this out. Bam, I just put an order and like bring it. Like I already know a little bit about carnosine. And what he was telling me was like, this is like unbelievable. So I got my product in, and I guess for me personally, it's about general well-being. And my number is 96. Happy, healthy, happy, healthy, happy, healthy, dead. Right? Brain, body, the whole catalog, right? So I am totally invested in whatever I need to do that. I'm like, honestly, face, like my neck, just what Macias was telling us, Chad, all the way down, whatever I can reach on my spine, under my armpits. And what I can tell you, what I noticed right away was sleep. I have been, doing the toss and turn. I've just moved to a new home after 34 years, and I'm, in this dysfunctional life, so to speak. And all of a sudden, I'm like, it's 10 o'clock in the morning and I'm still sleeping. I'm like, what the hell? Right? So it's been phenomenal for me, not every night, but I'd say majority of nights. So I am just pushing this out to everybody I know. A friend of mine that works for me, she's a retired police officer, 74, broke her elbow and like honestly crippled hand. And I met with her and I said, just while we're talking, let's put it on your elbow. After we finished talking, like 20 minutes, she's like, oh my God, I can, this is the first time I've been able to open my hand. And
Mm,
like she was just shocked, right? And so she has been able to, today she came and helped me hang pictures in my new home, and she's
mm,
able to lift her arms up all the way. Her physiotherapist is like kind of, freaked out about it. And honestly, she's going to be an ambassador. Like her 16-year-old grandson has just had a hockey injury, and he's got Crohn's. He's got all these other health things, and she's given
amazing.
him, the carnosine, and it's like this is helping, right?
Mm.
So it's an amazing product, and honestly, like the category that we're in is it's just unbelievable. Honestly, I'm so grateful to be here and so thankful to Andy Mills for introducing me for sure.
Thank you so much for sharing your enthusiasm. And this is what it's just, it keeps rolling and rolling in. So thank you for sharing that, your story and your friends as well. Dr. Villarreal, we'd love for you to have a conversation now with Chris. So I'll hand it over to you and enjoy learning more about this wonderful molecule that is carnosine.
Gotcha. So Chris Tarver is a old friend of mine, one of my oldest friends, a guy I highly respect in the health and wellness industry. He owns one of the largest, nicest, supplement stores. But to say that he owns a nutrition store is kind of like uh, almost condescending in my opinion, because he's so much more than that. So he's one of the most knowledgeable. He's one of the fittest guys I've ever known. We used to actually do a lot of competitions together, and this guy could not train for something. There he is. He could not train for something and just show up and be ready to go, be ready to compete at whatever we needed to do. We did a lot of CrossFit competitions, and but basically one of the most but approaches everything very, very cerebrally. So he's not just a gym bro. He knows the ins and outs of exactly the mechanisms of actions of whatever supplement, whatever you want to talk about nutrition, training, anything, like he's the guy. So that I wanted to have him on because as far as even at our talk, it was a great like kind of ping ponging off each other. Like he knew exactly what we were talking about when we were talking about carnosine. So I wanted to have him on, and without going on and on and on, let me introduce Chris Tarver. Hey Chris, how are you doing?
Hey
Hear
Willie,
me?
I'm gonna give the meathead approach tonight, it sounds like.
Awesome. Awesome. No, you're not. Um, like I said, you could be as sciencey or as kind of basic down to earth. Tonight is going to be more. I know you could get real deep in the weeds with the science, but tonight, want to give just some basic info on carnosine that most people don't know because I mean you deal with this on a daily basis as far as from a supplement standpoint. So when I approached you originally with carnosine, what were your first thoughts whenever I introduced you to Lactigo on it? What did you know about carnosine at the time?
Well, beta alanine. I think we should make sure everyone's familiar with how most people are already familiar with carnosine, and I bet we're more familiar than we think, but we just may not know it as carnosine.
Mm.
We often, I bet many of us on the call have used some kind of a performance drink before, where we've experienced that tingle sensation that we get maybe from some kind of like an energizing like pre-workout drink of some kind, or but that tingle that we get is from histidine and beta alanine, and that is essentially what is converting to carnosine in our muscles. So it's kind of a precursor to carnosine. And we've talked a lot about carnosine and what it can do, but the reality is I don't know that many people have even ever experienced really what carnosine can do, because unfortunately, to get the effects of carnosine, you have to supplement those beverages and those oral supplements for such a long period of time and so consistently. It's very important that it's consistent. And when I say consistent, I mean twice daily oral consumption for weeks on end to achieve maybe a 50% increase from baseline. Um, so my guess is, even in my industry, in the sports nutrition performance industry, my guess is not many people have ever been consistent enough to even know if they've ever experienced what elevated carnosine levels can feel like. So when you told me you had this gel that was going to almost immediately enter the muscle as carnosine, that just makes a lot of sense to me, and it should make sense to most. If what a sports nutrition industry, like a 50 or $100 billion a year industry of people trying to improve performance by this antiquated method, pretty much. So I think that if we can, like you mentioned before, like you want to be careful about how you kind of tout it. It's just this immediate kind of wondrous thing, but the reality is we've taken something that used to take a month or more and packaged it and delivered it in a way that you could have almost immediate results. So long answer to your question, I immediately was excited.
Gotcha. Before this, so what was your go-to product for any kind of like muscle endurance, fatigue? I mean, was there anything even close to what carnosine can do now? I mean,
It was always going to be something that was, like you'd imagine, things to improve hydration, likely going to contain beta alanine, things to buffer lactic acid, improve muscle elasticity, and hydration. So all of the literally like all the things that carnosine does, it was our biggest sellers, our most popular products were formulas that were trying to do those things. I mean, carnosine is the foundation of it.
yeah. Well, it's just I feel like it's such a unique and kind of breakthrough product, and that's why like I went to you as one of the first people, like actually months ago. And we already know from the professional aspect, because it's already in the NHL, NFL, every single Olympic athlete that, a track and field that won a medal in the last Olympics was wearing Lactigo. And so, to your point, what Chad Macias, our chief science officer, was saying last week is that, generally it'll take about 6 months of multiple daily intake of beta alanine, histidine, things like that to achieve even just a portion of the muscle saturation that we get with this gel. The problem is, like you and I know, it had a rate limiting factor, because if you took too much beta alanine, I mean, I remember the times you can't take too much, or you will have, I mean, uncontrollable itching, and the tingles are they can get pretty bad. And so
Yeah, nobody loved it. Yeah.
nobody liked it. Nobody liked it. So um, being in your industry, is there anything, do you carry anything, or anything you've seen, anything even comparable to what Lactigo can provide?
The reality is no. I've not. There's everything. If you took the entire sports nutrition industry, you can kind of group it into some different categories. Protein supplementation being one, performance supplementation being another, and then maybe you could kind of group like vitamins and hormonal therapies into others. In the performance sector of sports nutrition, almost every product contains beta alanine, which means these, multi-million, sometimes billion-dollar brands are trying to formulate products to legitimately improve performance, and they're almost all of them are including beta alanine because we know it. We've recognized the benefit of carnosine, and until now, the only method to achieve carnosine saturation or carnosine elevation in the muscle tissue is by oral supplementation of beta alanine. Mm-hmm. So billions of dollars are spent pouring into this old delivery method that it really doesn't compare. So no, this is absolutely new. If we can convince people to rub this gel on them, it's going to change a lot of lives.
Yeah. Well, it's important for people to understand what makes this different, because we just keep talking about, oh, the oral. We have an enzyme specifically called carnosinase. It's an enzyme, anything ASE. When we talk about ASE, it's an enzyme. But we have a specific enzyme that is in our body that breaks down carnosine. So it doesn't even allow it to get to any type of muscle saturation levels. And that's why this is so unique and patented, which is why it's patented, is because it uses a special delivery topical, system to saturate the muscle, and it bypasses completely gut. So the biggest difference is you can take all the beta alanine you want in every single product and multiple products. You're still never going to achieve the tissue saturation that you can with the Lactigo. So now, what have you tried it yet with any of your, I know you've personally tried it, and I remember the text from you, and it's the same text I get from almost everybody, is it, oh, this stuff works. I mean, it's just as simple as, all right, you were right, it works. My runs are easier, my runs are longer. What did you see initially, and then what have you seen with any of the other people that you shared it with?
I wish I could give you some feedback from any of my patients or customers, but I don't have much feedback for it yet. But for me, the first day that I tried it, I was going for a run, and I planned on running 3 miles. I ran 6, and it was one of those feelings where I really didn't intend to. I just, for me, when I go for a run, I don't stop my runs usually. It's not my wind or my lungs that limit me. I'm 220 pounds, so it's the wear on my legs. My muscles get tired. My legs are constantly screaming at me saying, we're done, we're done, we're done. And I felt like I had gas in the tank. I just kept going. So it was an immediate response, and it was pretty profound. So I wish I had some customer feedback to give you, but I don't have any for you today.
Well, we need to get that going, man.
Yeah.
Can I just ask something there, Dr. Villarreal? We have so much good feedback coming from kind of the 50+ age bracket and that baby boomer age bracket. Could you maybe comment, like Paula mentioned about her sleep? Yes, there's this athletic performance side, which is so researched and amazing, but why is this helping the people that need it most?
Yes. So that is why I started sharing it with almost everybody, is because yes, in the beginning, I did what I knew, right? And that was sports and sports performance and recovery. And so I was sharing with all the athletes. But then, when you also start looking at the medical benefits, so specifically like to the sleep issue, I mean, that is very easy. And you could kind of boil it down to two main uh reasons, and number one, okay. The carnosine, it actually balances brain excitability and calms the nervous system. Okay, so carnosine acts like a neurotransmitter modulator. It actually balances glutamate. So glutamate is an excitatory neurotransmitter, and GABA, which is inhibitory. So a lot of times, people, that's why like we tell people, hey, don't eat MSG, or if they're very sensitive, because monosodium glutamate, it can cause like neuro excitability. It can cause people to have anxiety and kind of like have racing thoughts and things like that. And so when you balance, glutamate, which is neuroexcitatory, and then GABA, which is calming, you get a calm neural, you calm neural overactivity, basically. There's also really good studies on carnosine supporting melatonin and circadian rhythm function. Okay, there's some early human studies that actually show that it stabilizes the circadian rhythm and actually affects the pineal gland, which is in charge of like our sleep-wake cycle. But it indirectly can support like melatonin production, signaling. There's studies on carnosine lowering cortisol and improving HRV. So HRV is heart rate variability, and that's something that's like really hot as far as like tracking health and wellness. And there's Whoop straps, and there's like Oura rings and all kinds of things that are checking that. But it's really good at buffering stress kind of at the cellular level. So those are just a couple of them. But I mean, overall, I mean, it could be also, the reducing the oxidative stress and inflammatory, stress in the brain. I mean, so there's a lot of really great data on the cognitive benefits and the calming of the neural activity. So
Okay,
that
amazing.
will help with the sleep.
Wonderful. And for people that are interested in that general well-being, which is everyone here on this call, what's the protocol that you would suggest?
So minimum twice daily. The sweet spot for most people is 3 times a day, but minimum twice daily. So, when we were talking with Chad, he specifically works with the Navy SEALs. He's in San Diego and works specifically with the Navy SEALs. And basically he was saying, we make the Navy SEALs put it on AM, PM twice daily. He goes, it's a very real scenario where they may have to run a 10K with a backpack and get into a firefight. They need to be ready. So translate that to say like again, we keep talking about the performance, but understand that these athletes, these war fighters, okay, they're tip top shape as high as you're going to get, right? And they're seeing benefits immediately. So imagine the people that are already compromised, the people that are already, just your weekend warriors. They're not elite level athletes or professional athletes. They're actually going to see a quicker, deeper, more profound response because they're compromised. They're not functioning at a high level. And I don't know a single person over 40 or 50 that doesn't have some sort of joint pain or pain. I mean, there's memes about it where like you hit 40 and 50 and all of a sudden you get out of bed hurt and you don't even know how you hurt yourself. So that's like the big joke, is waking up stiff and injured and you didn't even injure yourself. But that's a lot of people over 40 or 50. So pretty much
Can I jump in there?
anybody over 40. The what now?
Can I jump in and just maybe
Yeah.
say, I think we're kind of talking about cellular health decline. That's kind of why we age. So whether you're a elite warfighter, a performance athlete, or somebody who goes on a half-mile walk twice a week, right? Either way, you can't really stop your cells from aging, and so when we're looking and when we're kind of thinking to ourselves, who can I market this to? Who can I take this to? The reality is, right now more than ever in 2025, there are more therapies and more avenues to improve cellular health available to us than ever before. It is widely a topic of discussion in longevity medicine and really all over in just the health and wellness sphere altogether. So I think that maybe should be kind of the underlying theme that we're trying to solve here is we know that carnosine levels decline from what, age 10 or
20.
15? Okay. So and they decline, consistently as we age. So anything to kind of turn back that clock and bring ourselves closer to a level of a younger age, I think is something we kind of should like pinpoint and hone in on as to how do I apply this? Who do I apply this to? How can they use it? It's why it works for pain. It's why it works for cognitive function. It's why it works for performance. It's all just the cells in our body and their health and the way they function. We can't stop them from aging. So if we can improve the way they function,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what
was
made me.
my effort of trying to that was my effort of trying to simplify this a little bit, and kind of like find an underlying thesis of where we're all talking about.
That's the key.
Yeah.
That is the key, definitely.
Well, and that's what made me one of the early adopters is that, I do specialize in kind of longevity medicine, preventative healthcare, things that are going to make us live longer, better, like and extend health span, not just lifespan. I mean, we can already make you live longer, but nobody wants to be in a nursing home bed, curled up, right? I'm talking about extending health span, being healthy, being 90 years old and hiking and moving with no pain, sharp brain. But carnosine specifically from an anti-aging, aspect, just like, to piggyback on Chris's point is it's the reason it's called the longevity molecule. Okay. It prevents, an easy way to remember it is it prevents cellular rusting, okay, or oxidation. Rusting is oxidation. Think about a rusty pipe, it's oxidized. Anti-glycation. As we age, sugars and proteins and our diet, our typical diet is, they bind together and they form sticky compounds called AGEs. And I mention them frequently. They're advanced glycation end products, and they come from eating too much sugar. They damage collagen, they stiffen our arteries, they cloud, the lens of our eye. I mean, they inflame tissues. Carnosine actually binds to these sugars before they can attach to the proteins, and then they actually act as like a body-wide anti-stick agent, kind of like Teflon. So result, slower aging, sharper cognition, healthier arteries, less atherosclerosis or hardening of the arteries that we talk about, better metabolic functioning. So, there's really anti-aging studies on it, extending telomeres. Telomeres are the end caps of our DNA. The longer your telomeres, the longer you live, the shorter your telomeres, the shorter you live. There's actually really good studies on carnosine extending telomeres, telomere length, which, extends lifespan. So, I mean, there's so many benefits that we're seeing. And now there isn't a single patient that I don't recommend it to now. It's part of their kind of their package when they come in, because like I said, there isn't a single person that doesn't hurt or doesn't want to age better, like age slower. So any other questions, Miss Grace?
We had a question as to how to apply the Lactigo for sleep, so for better sleep benefits.
Yeah, so one of the best answers that I got, I was in a call with Chad, and he was, talking real sciencey with another doctor and this professional bodybuilder, and he was talking about the neuro benefits of it and the cognitive benefits, and so he says, he's bawling. He goes, so are you just telling me? He goes, I just put it on my head, and Chad just like Chad just plain just straight, no expression. He goes, yes, just put it on your head. And it was like the greatest. It was just the greatest answer. But the thing about it is that, you know, you literally can put it anywhere. I would say maybe, you know, there's even sleep products that are topical that, you know, they say put it on the back of the neck. I recommend putting it around the neck area, base of the skull. Because even the closer to the area that you want to affect, the better. It does go systemic. You know, for instance, we're seeing people with TMJ. That's another one that, you know, literally they're putting it right on their joint, right on their area where it hurts. So for TMJ, and it's relieving their TMJ pain. Barbara, Jared's mother, you know, had that exact, and she shared it with the dentist, you know, who's seen her for that for many years, and now he's, I guess, using it. So for sleep, I would recommend probably putting it on at bedtime. It's up to you if you want to use the menthol or non-menthol. I personally really, really like the menthol at bedtime because I put it on my legs, on my lower back, all on my feet, everywhere. And when you go lay down, there's this like intense, like cooling effect, and it's just so like relaxing. So I personally put it on. I don't have trouble with sleep, but I personally put it on my legs and my lower back, and it just feels amazing every night. And that's the menthol. So don't put it on your face though.
Yeah, that hurts, especially in the eyes. Thank
Yes.
you for sharing your story, Rich. We'll have to get you on to share your story on here with everyone else. We'd like to keep these calls, you know, not too long for you guys. We're going to be doing them every week. Chris, we really would love for you to jump on again one time and share your expertise. Appreciate that so much. These calls, we want to keep sharing this education because we've all just learned about carnosine, and I love that you put it so simply, Chris, since we were 10 or so, our levels have been depleting. This is the only way to make them increase quickly. So if you want to feel good, stronger, live longer, then just try it. So everyone on here, if you haven't tried it just yet, the company does offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. So just try it. Get with the person that invited you to this call. The company also has a very generous offering that if you share it, you can get your Lactigo free. So that's what we want for all of you on this call, is getting free Lactigo. And what can be better than that? So thank you, Dr. Villarreal. Thank you, Chris, for jumping on here, and everyone for giving your time to learn about carnosine. And we'll see you this time next week. Is there anything else you wanted to say, Dr. Villarreal or Chris?
No, just everybody needs to be using it. You know, I haven't seen a person yet that hasn't benefited from it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Just try it. Thanks, everyone.
Guys,
Bye.
great call.
See you.
Great stuff. Thanks, guys.
What's up,
Bye.
Jared?